This video is one that I've been meaning to make for a while. No, this video is all about, it's about a message to people who say that they're bored. I've been wanting to make this video for a while, and that's the truth. And this was initially going to be a slideshow. And what it was is that I wanted to showcase of exactly, sorry, I'm looking at my phone as well, but what I wanted to showcase is how life works. So, you know, you're born, you live, and then you die. So like what it is there's a beginning and an end, you know, to the way that life is. This is where you're born and then you die, and then there's the in between, which is what we call day-to-day life, you know. So you've got those things, and you know, the only thing you're chasing in between that is to be happy. Like that is my perception on everything. It seems like, you know, everyone's just chasing one thing. It's like when you get people, I was watching something today on the TV, you know, earlier, just while I was on lunch from what I'm doing and whatever, and my partner had on the TV, and I saw that there was like a transvestite, and the mother of the transvestite was saying, you know, you're selfish, blah, 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 like, you know, how can you do this and whatever else. And I said, yeah, it's kind of a selfish move, but then at the same time, you've got to get selfish to a certain degree when something makes you happy. So a lot of people might think, you know, like, I don't know, some people are kind of homosexual and all that different stuff. And I'm not like that, you know, so I just, like, each to their own of how people obviously want to live. But ultimately, it's about what makes you happy, and that's the truth. It's about what makes you happy in life, you know. And you don't know what happiness is until you've experienced sadness. So a lot of people think you shouldn't be sad, but you should be sometimes, because that's how you get the opposition of being happy. If you had never been sad, then you probably would be sad in that sense, if that makes sense. But yeah, so like I've got here, the difference is that when you die, one will make you happy and one will make you wish you had died earlier. So I've got that down, and what it is like, that's the truth, you know. Like when you die, like some people are gonna think, oh, I should have just died earlier because they never done the things that they wanted, or they're not happy with their life. And then other people would have wished that they lived forever, or would be content that they lived that long, you know, so they would enjoy it. So when people say that they're bored, it's a sign that they have no clue what they're doing in life, so they're confused. So like the way I see it is, you got this beginning and you got this end. At the beginning, you're figuring stuff out. That's just how life works. So for a majority of my beginning, I was kind of confused, kind of unsure what I needed to do, went down the wrong ways and right ways and whatever else, and got to this point where I needed to really review and reflect on myself and figure out what it is I was trying to do in life. Once you kind of establish that, you then need to decide on whether you're going to try and achieve that. So whether it's monetary, or whether it's, you know, health wise or relationship wise, you need to set out to get that. But the first thing is you need to define what it is. Like, so a lot of people don't know what it is because they've never taken the time to sit down and actually put it together. So like, even if you're watching this video, like just go now and figure out what you want in life. If you're bored, like if you're bored, it's a sign that you don't know what you're doing. And if you don't know what you're doing, you're floating on this earth. So you basically are going to the airport, booking a flight with no destination. And that's a kind of reflection of your life. So I think, like, you know, you need to have a clear destination that you're heading towards. So if anything comes up in the way, it's just an obstacle that you can overcome, because ultimately you know where you're going, you know. And if you don't know where you're going, it's always going to be like these big kind of, you know, stopping marks that hold you up in life. So like for me right now, I know exactly what I'm trying to get to. So like everything I'm doing is just almost a vehicle to get me there, you know. So every day and every given minute, that if I'm not with my newborn baby right now, I'm spending it 100% building this, you know, and trying to get towards what it is that I would like, that my ultimate lifestyle, and, you know, the finance I'm trying to get to, and the things that I want, and all of those different things. So like I couldn't never be bored, because in between here and here, I've got that destination over here. And it's not like, oh, it's a static position. And I've got a video coming up on about people thinking that things are static. There is no such thing. Like, you know, the world moves and the universe moves, and everything in this earth is moving, and atoms that never ever stop. They're always moving. There is no such thing as being still. So if you are not going forwards in life, you're simply going backwards. And that's because the time on this earth is shortening every single second that you are alive. So if you are not going forward, you're simply going backwards because time is still moving. But I've got a full in-depth video on that with, slideshow and all of that stuff coming up. But I've got down here that basically it says that you have no goals even when you think you do, in life. So when you say you're bored, even if you think that you have goals, it's a sign that you don't have goals. And the reason is, if you really did, you would be acting on them. And if they really meant something to you, you would be spending your time on trying to achieve them. But it's easy to say it to answer other people's questions and whatever else. Some say, what are you trying to do in life? Or what's your kind of goal? And you just say, yeah, well, this is what I'm trying to do, but you're really not doing it. So behind closed doors, you don't do it. And the only person you're lying to is yourself, So I think, like, for all those people, they say they have goals, but then they're bored. So if you're bored, it means you've got nothing to do. The only time I was kind of bored in life was back in the day when I was a kid and I was hanging around on the streets and whatever else. And, I would ring up my friends, and you ring them up, you're like, oh, yo, what's going on? They're like, oh, yeah, you know what? Yeah, nothing's up. Like, what do you mean nothing's up? Like, nothing's going on. What's going on? Nothing. Like, just, it's shit, it's boring. And then you're like, okay, well, we on later on? Nothing. I'm just not on nothing. And then you're just like going there, you're like, all right, I'll come meet you up. You go there, you do nothing as well. So both of you do nothing. So what ends up happening? Bad things, because you've got nothing to do. So all you do is end up going out and doing something that brings you some type of excitement. And just so unfortunate is that, the badder things in life were the things that we were attracted to back then. So that's the stuff we used to get up to. So it's crazy. Now, the next thing is, when you've got the goal, you must reverse engineer that goal into actionable steps that you can take one by one, yeah? That means the goal is an objective, but certain actions need to be taken to get there. So if you had any real goals, you would be moving every day, because every minute and every second isn't a part of that goal is time wasted. So if you get bored, you really need to figure out what you're doing in life. Okay, so what I'm saying here is that if you basically don't know what you're trying to achieve, then you simply don't know what you're doing, and you really need to sit down and figure that out. So ultimately, it's like, what emotion are you trying to have? Happiness. What can bring you, kind of perpetual happiness is your goals, your achievements and things that you want to get. Like, who do you want to marry? Who do you want to meet? What family do you want to have? What house? What car do you want to drive? How many times a year do you want to travel? Where do you want to live? All these different things is what's going to ultimately make you happy. And then at the same time, I also said that basically, when you have a goal, you must reverse engineer it. So it's easy to actually have these goals, and I never understood goals for a long time. So what it was is, I used to set these goals, and I had the drive, like I've always had that. So I've always had a lot of energy and whatever else. And I had these goals, and I was trying to achieve these goals, and every day I would sit down and I'd try and build towards them, and I didn't know what to do because I never knew what actions to take. So I had all this energy, and I couldn't drive this energy into anything because I didn't know what to put it into. So I was just doing everything. I had no management skills or, how to structure my days or anything like that. And I had false beliefs that would lead me into bad decisions, ultimately to getting bad results. So for a long time, I didn't know exactly what to do. And it's like, now I can see things so clearly. It's like almost like I've got a pair of infrared glasses on to life, and I can just see exactly how things work, but I couldn't understand things and whatever else, so. And what it is I didn't reverse engineer the goal. So I didn't know exactly what actionable steps I actually needed to take. Now, instead of looking at this and using the common term of a goal, what I think is better is having an objective. Because, like when we look at someone from the army, or, when they're on a mission, it's the same as your mission in life. And then they have an objective. That's the outcome that they're trying to achieve, or the result that they're trying to have. And then they've got the action. And that's the things that they need to do in order to receive that, to achieve that objective. So like, say for example, you've got a base, you know, and you're trying to get to a certain location. So that's your place in life. And you really need to figure out and reverse engineer the steps needed to actually get there. So everything in life and in business is kind of like actions, and then reflecting, like, and getting the feedback, and then reiterating those actions and taking those actions again and getting the feedback, and then doing it again, getting the feedback, and then looking at the situation, and then same thing. So you're always like kind of taking an action, you're researching first, action. After you've taken the action, you get the feedback, research more, action, you know, and so on and so forth. But after a while, it's just action, feedback until you get to where you want to go. But what it is that, like, you really need to know what steps they are. So the only way you can first of all do that is by identifying people who are where you want to be, because you don't know the actionable steps. And you don't need to ask them about goals. Like, stop using that word. So from today, stop using the word goal. Like, you know, goals, because people just don't understand it. Like, you're just using it in the wrong context. Yeah, there's actionable goals and there's objective based goals. So just use action and objective. It's the easiest thing, because then it's clear, and you're, you know, talking to your mind and telling yourself, this is an objective and this is the actions I need to take. So then it's a lot more clear cut. You're like, kind of like, oh, I'm not really taking those actions, am I, this week? So I can't get to that objective. And when you see it like that, it's a much more practical approach to actually achieving things. And you are more likely to actually get it. First things first, though, is just getting a pen and paper, just writing it down, and then just reverse engineering it. So, you know, objective, what is it I want to achieve? Then how can I sort of, you know, divide that objective by, like, I don't know, if it's like a 3-year objective, how can you reverse engineer that, divide it by three, it will give you 1-year objective. Then divide that 1-year objective by 12, that will give you a 1-month objective. Then divide that 1 month by 4, that will give you a 1-week objective. And then divide that 1 week by 7, that will give you a 1-day objective. So now, or divide it by 5 even, that will give you, you know, one day objective over a course of 5 days. But, like, basically now you've got the 1-day objective that makes a difference, and every single time you pull a lever, it pulls a lever on that big objective over 3 years. So then you know exactly what you're doing. So everything you do makes a difference on that 3-year objective. Once you've got that objective set, the next thing is what actions need to be taken in order to get that result. So what is it that I do that outcome will be that, you know? And you can't pinpoint this stuff like exact. So don't think, oh, you're going to go out and, you know, write down this action or whatever else, and you're just going to have that outcome or objective. It doesn't work like that. What you want to do is basically just have it written down that you're going to take this action, and then you know exactly what you need to do every single day. So if you're not doing that, you know that you are basically falling behind, you know. So what it is, when you've got everything written down, and you need to have like a plan. If you're not organized, you need to get organized, you know. So set like a 30-day or 60-day plan of where you're going to build a new habit, you know. And say it roughly takes 31 consecutive days or 66 days to build a new habit. Go and do it. Just go and do it, you know. Build that habit, and really I can't even talk, indent it, you know, into your brain. So it's just in there, and you just know, you know, this is what I'm going to do, and decide. Like, that's the first thing, I think, is just making the decision to say, this is the objective I'm trying to achieve, you know. And I guarantee you, when you set that, you'll never be bored, because that goalpost constantly moves. When you get to one goal, you're kind of like, oh, you know, or one objective, I should say, you're kind of like, oh, that 3-year one that I had kind of could be a bit bigger now, you know, I'm going to move the goalpost on that. And it's just a constant thing that you do. And it's a constant progression. So eventually, you're kind of reflecting back and thinking, whoa, I kind of achieved quite a lot, you know, I've done quite a lot. Like, if I was to really look at it, I'm doing all right, you know. So all of that. And that's the way you want to set your objectives and actions. And really and truly, this is like the cycle of life. So I can officially say there will never be a day that I'll be bored, or a minute in the world, unless I'm not working on my objectives in that sense, you know. So people who are bored, and a message to all of you is that sort your life out and figure out what you want to do, because the only reason you're bored is because you have no real objectives. And the reason you have no objectives is because you haven't defined what that is, you know. So really focus on what makes you happy, write that down, and then obviously figure out what it is you need to do in order to get there. Okay, I hope this was helpful for some of you, and that's it. If you like the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new as well. Peace.